there's a lot of different reasons to go do migration. And, there are some, let me start by saying, there are some incredible software packages out there that are that absolutely do exactly what you paid for. They do a spectacular job. They've been around for years and years, but they might, in fact, be uncertain futures. And usually, the two problems that come around is either Oracle or investment bankers get involved. One of the two happens, and all of a sudden there's uncertainty. How is this going to work? So the question then is, how do I get to the more modern, accessible, RESTful, cloud integrated workflow? And very frequently, the question is not just, hey, I'm afraid of what I'm on or what it's going to be like next year, but it's, what do I have looking forward? What am I going in the future with? I want to eventually be on a cloud ready workflow. And that's one of the most common things we hear is customers saying, this is great, but within some number of months or years, I want to be on a true cloud workflow. I want to be able to edit in the cloud. I want to be able to render. I want to be able to transcode and do all of those things that 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 the cloud is capable of. But I don't really have a way to do that with my current data management solution. So, really considering where I want to go and why. The third case, if you will, or the third big thing has to do with overall cost. And let's be honest, as a storage industry, a lot of our peers have gone down a path of licensing by capacity and essentially nickel and diming you for every copy that you make, and every time you touch your data, they want to charge you, and they do it not just by charging by capacity, but a true licensing model where, if you quit paying, you might not have access to your data anymore. So there's lots of reasons to consider changing and moving to a new overall solution. The value really is in the vision of the future of, a system that can support both on-prem storage, which we all still need for ready access and accessibility. The whole concept of, going to the cloud. Absolutely, we all should be going that direction. There's no question. We should be putting systems in that are capable of making that migration, but let's do it intelligently. Unlike, I don't know if you guys all saw the NASA news, where they decided to go cloud generically, but they made this big mistake. They completely forgot about egress fees to the tune of $20 million a year. Somebody just made a mistake. Well, there are ways to control the cost and head towards the cloud, but still have local on-prem capability. And that's the solution that we have presented to you today with Rio, with Black Pearl. The question then is, well, how do I get there? We've developed a very seamless migration solution, essentially one that makes it transparent to the end users. The goal is, if I'm an editor and I want to train, the back end guys are saying, hey, I want to get off of FlashNet or get off of Diva and move into one of these more modern systems, I shouldn't know that that's going on in the background. I should be able to go about my normal daily routine and not even have to pay attention to the fact that there's this major upheaval going on in the background. So that's certainly part of our goal and what we provide through our solution. The goal is clearly to get onto a Black Pearl Rio broker, and we have even more modern solutions that we continue to work on that take this even to the next level, and we'll talk to you about those as well in the near future. But if I'm headed into that world, I need something to get me there seamlessly, quickly, with as little disruption, and in fact is customizable. Because let's be honest, there is no migration that is just you push a button and it happens. Everybody's got a different workflow. You use tape groups, or you use comments, or you use things differently than everybody else around you. Everybody's customized their workflow. Well, how do I take all of that built up knowledge over the years and transform it into a new solution that just works seamlessly, but still maintains all of the value and the metadata and the goodness that I've invested in my solution over the last 10 years. We actually do it with some of the same tools that you just saw. The very last thing on the bottom of the Rio Broker slide that Hossein talked about, this migration engine built in, you might have overlooked that. That's a huge thing. We've put in a software package that's capable of reaching into competitive or legacy systems and moving your stuff into a Black Pearl using the Rio system. There's a tack on, if you will, to the Rio Broker system that we call the getter. We just never have passed it through and made it a formal marketing thing. It's our internal code name, and it just stuck. But it does exactly what it says. It reaches into other tools and gets your stuff and moves it into Black Pearl. Let me show you how it works and what the couple of options are here. So let's start with a FlashNet migration. And again, great software, love it. You've got a reason to move off of it, and we have a solution to help you do that. So FlashNet has a couple of different things to consider. If you go back a few years, they were in a proprietary format, and wonderfully so, they moved to LTFS not terribly long ago, 3-4 years ago. So there's kind of two options, and it depends on what you have. If you've got LTFS, some of the more modern stuff, roughly the last 5 years, we literally just adopt those tapes. LTFS, as you know, is intended to be an open standard. Theoretically, anybody can read anybody else's LTFS tapes. Well, it's not nearly as much of a standard as you might imagine, in that there's little subtleties, different characters, different fields. Black Pearl, we've programmed into Black Pearl and into the Rio system an incredible intelligence. It actually knows now most of the other LTFS implementations. They're all similar, but what about this field? Maybe that one's hex and this one's text. Or what about weird characters? Somebody brilliantly used, // as in their object name or their file name, and LTFS doesn't like certain things, certain characters as object names. Well, Black Pearl now recognizes all of those, escapes them out. It actually recognizes an SGL tape or recognizes there's 6 other people that write LTFS that we can import. We recognize them by type, by brand, and go, oh, that's an SGL tape. I'm going to import it and do all these special things to it. It's actually got a loop of about 6 things it tries on every one because there's different versions. So a lot of work has gone in to be able to import foreign tapes. Second thing is you might have non-LTFS. So previously they had a D-tool format that they used, a proprietary format. Of course, there were reasons to do that. There was goodness to it, but it also kind of locked you in. It doesn't let you transfer data around, which you'll see in DIVA in a minute too. So there's lots of different ways to pull data off. You do have to migrate those tapes because they're proprietary. We could read them, but we just decided it's a poor choice. Most of the time, if they're that old anyway, you're on LTO 5 or LTO 6. You don't want to be on that anymore. You want to be on LTO 7 or 8. So there are reasons to go ahead and move the data to a newer tape format anyway. I can compress 4:1 or 6:1 tape. So in every case, it's been a logical thing to move it off. No problem. They've got a tool that migrates to LTFS, and then we can import them, or we can use our getter tool. So it's a standalone software package that works in conjunction with Rio that catalogs the tapes, figures out what order objects are on the tapes, and moves it off to a NAS, and then we ingest it into Black Pearl. So it's as close to a push button migration as you can imagine. The beauty of this kind of system is we actually have what we call an SGL agent or a FlashNet agent that's built into Spectra's Rio Broker. So essentially, the day I come in and start doing a migration, I can attach the FlashNet service instead of directly to Avid, for instance. I would then attach the FlashNet system into Rio Broker and attach a Black Pearl into Rio Broker, such that when you request an object, for instance, from Avid, if Black Pearl has it and it's already been migrated, no problem, we provide it to you from Black Pearl. If we haven't migrated it yet, we actually go ask FlashNet for it and provide it to you anyway. So we provide a single namespace across both the old and the new, such that the editors that are working they don't know anything changed. They still are requesting their data just like they did before. And we figure out where to go get it from. And that way we can do migration in the background without interfering. Let's take a quick look at a DIVA migration. It's actually very similar. They have a confluence of proprietary formats, packaged formats, if you will, and they have been working with LTFS, some LTFS content more recently. So the same basic thing applies, but we generally, if you're on one of those AXF or packaged formats, no problem. We actually have the ability using this getter tool to reach in, order the objects, figure out what the right order to get things off of tape very efficiently. We automatically pull it off, land it on a NAS. We can do some amazing things. We can, PFR index it if you're using, for instance, a Avid MAM system or something else that doesn't have PFR built in. We can index it. We can turn it loose to be transcoded if necessary, if you're moving from one type to another. And then we actually re-archive it back into the Black Pearl system automatically using the same getter tool. So essentially you just say, here's a tape group, go. And the system will tape by tape, move it off to NAS, index it, re-archive it, and present it back up to the system as if nothing has changed. So it's a very incredible system that is very powerful. We can keep up to about 20 tape drives working in parallel all at the same time. So, if you're able to turn that over 3-4 times a day, you can pump a lot of tapes through this to migrate from old to new. So very efficient system, very well proven, and we're doing this in production at multiple sites simultaneously. Really excited about that tool. Same thing basically applies in the fall here. We're releasing what we call a DIVA agent, which will do the same thing. I'm an editor. I want to keep using the system exactly like I've always used it. And the agent provides that single namespace so that, hey, if it's not been migrated yet, no problem. I'll go ask DIVA for it and present it exactly like the editor always has for the last 10 years. And if it's on Black Pearl, we know that it's been migrated, and we'll present it from Black Pearl to the editor exactly like they've been using it. When everything's over and migration is complete, you just turn off DIVA and move on. It's really simple. So we've got a great solution there that makes things easy. Again, none of these are exactly the same, but we have a really competent PS and consultative group that'll come in and help you through this process. The end goal is not just being on a modern system, but it's to present significant cost savings. So every one of these that we've done, customers have realized, significant cost savings in the process of doing the migration.
The other example that I wanted to share with you was this workflow where we've done this in a number of sites. And in a couple of these are really newsworthy because the projects are still ongoing. We're not sharing the names, soon we will. They've already done migration many petabytes. And in both of these cases, we use DIVA Getter. As David mentioned, once you put the Black Pearl RioBroker in front of DIVA and Black Pearl, we're able to bring the database of DIVA basically into Rio. And now we know where all the assets are based on that in the most efficient ways, in a way to minimize the number of tape loads. We read the content of the tapes into a NAS, at which time they get indexed for PFR, and then we seamlessly move it into Black Pearl. The applications database is basically updated, and that's basically all that is going on. We are, as I mentioned, doing this right now currently in 2 very large sites, and in one of them is actually even more interesting because this model is deployed across 3 different sites, and they all are being migrated into a central location, where as part of the process, we also, as David earlier mentioned, we can do other functions. So we can transcode them, in one case from OP Adam to OP1A, because they're going from Interplay PAM to Interplay MAM environment and other applications. So this is something that is happening, and we have tremendous capabilities. And as again, to mention this, that we are able to scale the scope of the project to match the timeline that the end user would have in terms of in what period of time to do the migration. And of course, in both cases of these things, the end users do have access to the content that is not yet migrated and to everything that is migrated and all the new assets. And that's what we've done in those two sites. So I want to touch about migration a little bit beyond just migrating from a middleware application to a Black Pro. Migration could be tape to tape, it could be tape to disk, tape to cloud, or any mix of. The point is that once the content comes from a legacy system to Black Pro, then creating additional copies or replicating the content across other storage medium where the end users may or the customers have preferences, we can do that by simply change of policies. Now, in many cases that we've migrated, it's not just a change from middleware to a Black Pro, it is also simultaneously change of the application as well too. So we have quite a bit of experience and projects that we've done where we can coordinate with the partners so that not only while we migrate the data over, but we also coordinate with our partners so that their databases, as they change the application from one to the other, so that we can coordinate the whole project. And we can customize. The point of it is there's tremendous amount of experience to customize depending on your definition of migration. We've done that quite a bit. So now, how do we engage? Should you have interest in this, we have an extensive system in place that David team has led we can basically come and do a free consultation, take a look at your environment, take a look at what it is that you're trying to achieve, take a look at your timeline and how you would like to do it. And then based on that, we will go ahead and provide a statement of work for you that you can approve. And once we get to that point, we have a system in place where we can deploy a pilot program where we do certain amount of migration. And once you accept the overall workflow, once you accept the overall progress and what have you, then we'll go ahead and hand that over and we basically provide you support for the remainder of the project. So it is something that we do, and should you want to customize it further, as we spoke earlier, we can go ahead and do that as well too. So David, anything else you want to add to this before we move to the next topic?
You know, I will say that I think every migration we've done, and we've done a lot, has ended up with some amount of customization, whether that's because of specific workflows that you've created that you want to maintain with the new system. So we need to pay attention to other metadata, things like work groups or tape groups or categories, or you're inserting metadata into the system that needs to transfer into the new system. Very frequently, there's weird special characters that are used that need to be accounted for as we move into a modern system. Especially, it's not just about Black Pearl, it's also about the cloud. We want to make sure that as we look forward with you in partnership to what cloud workflows look like, that your data is set up in a way that it's prepared for that move. So we very frequently find a lot of things that we can bring to you because of the experience that we have in doing this, frankly, from other customers that have already forged the way ahead of you. We can provide you a lot of information on things that need to change, or you really should consider doing it this way, because you're thinking about this future cloud strategy. So we provide all of those services as a package, as a consultative item, to make sure that you're prepared for the future.